like to bring in Norman Lamb. I gather we can talk to him right now. Norman Lamb, good evening. This is very good of you to come in at such short notice, but tell me, you have made a decision, and what has made why have you changed your mind?
First of all, I should just stress that I'm making this decision as a Member of Parliament, not as a Minister. This is a free vote issue, and it's very important to make that distinction clear. But it's through talking to an awful lot of people who've gone through the experience of a loved one dying, often going through months of pain and distress. And ultimately, you have to ask the question, who should it be that decides? Should it be me or anyone else in that situation, or should it be the state? And ultimately, I think it's a very personal decision. And I've gone through a process of rethinking my position on this. And I think the current position, where we've got this confused situation that families do not know what the law actually will do to them, and you have the Crown Prosecution Service reviewing, I think, something like 60 cases since the most recent guidance. What an invidious position to put families in, not knowing whether you're going to be prosecuted for helping a loved one to end their life. So I'm very clear in the position that I take on this now.
This is interesting because you say that you're doing this in a personal capacity, but because you are the Minister for the Care of the Elderly, of course your intervention, your decision will be seen to be carrying a great deal of weight.
Well, I understand that, but it's been made clear that this is a personal vote issue. I feel, actually, having gone through the process of rethinking my position, I now feel very clear in my own mind about where I stand myself on this. And I think that there are very clear safeguards. The safeguards are absolutely critical. And in a sense, it was the fear of exploitation which always caused me concern in the past. But ultimately, should we stand in the way of someone wanting to make their own decision about their life, or should we set the safeguards in place to ensure that there is every chance of avoiding that exploitation? I'm very clear in my mind that the individual should be the person who decides, not the state.
Now, Norman Lamb, while we have you here, we must talk to you about another story which is on the front page of the Daily Mirror tomorrow morning, we understand, and that story is that Nick Clegg has come out against the bedroom tax. Can you give a little bit more on this? Well,
it's in response to a report that's emerged which shows that a very tiny percentage of the people who've been subject to the ending of the spare room subsidy have actually moved home. And in my own constituency, I've come across many cases where people may be willing to move, may be willing to downsize, but the state of the housing market and the shortage of social housing just makes it impossible for that person to move. So they're stuck in a situation, and it may well be that they also have a disability and are unable to move because they need a spare bedroom for a carer, or they may have adapted their home. And I think, therefore, we have to adjust the position in the light of experience to make sure that it is absolutely fair.
At a critical moment in the lead up to the election, of course, you're in a coalition. You've got absolutely no chance, have you, of persuading your coalition partners also that to agree with what Nick Clegg apparently said, which is it has been a catastrophe that punishes the poor. I mean, you're having your cake and eat it on this because you're remaining with the coalition but disagreeing with a fundamental tenet of welfare reform.
Should you not be willing to review your position in the light of evidence and experience? And it seems to me that the evidence is clear. You know, for the situation so far as new tenants are concerned, I don't think there's any dispute in the private sector. Individuals who claim housing benefit in the private sector only get housing benefit for the rooms that they need. They don't get a spare room subsidy, and it's perfectly reasonable that the same rule applies in both the private and the public sector. The difficulty we have here is people who are in social housing, who have a spare room, but who simply are not able to move because of their circumstances.
Does this mean that the Liberal Democrats are going to be speaking out about against the bedroom tax at every turn?
Look, it's a response to the evidence that we have seen,
Thank
and
you.
I think it's absolutely reasonable for the party to make its position clear.
Norman, thank you very much for joining
Thank
us
you.
tonight.